Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor gives you sports betting tips. This is college basketball for Wednesday, January 10th. Jake coming off of a 2-1 night on the free show, uh, heading into NFL playoffs. And this is a college basketball show, but I am wearing a Texas shirt to remind you, viewer, throughout the show that the NFL picks are exclusive to Dubs Club. You can jump in for a free trial and check it out. There's literally no reason not to come and see if you can make money tailing our NFL picks, which just crushed all season long. We are done with NFL shows now that the playoffs are here, focusing the shows on college basketball. But recommended totals had a 20% ROI. Recommended sides had an 11% ROI, fueled by the 25% ROI that A grade sides had. And we're talking about a pretty decent sample size here. It was just an incredible ride for the NFL picks. And hopefully it continues in the playoffs. And Dub Club is the place to be to get that. You can get that free trial. I don't even know what the next slide is. Look, there it is. Oh, phew. I got it. All right. Free 1 week trial if you want to be on our Dub Club. Jake and I are laughing because this is our third time starting to show up because I don't know. It's like I have like a 3-week-old child at home, 2.5 week. I don't even know how old he is now. And that's life at this point. So the link in the show description will also get you there where everybody's getting a free trial here. Might as well sign up, check it out, see if you like it. Jake, say something. I don't know.
Look, the free trial is going to be worth it because you'll get all the NFL picks and you'll end up wanting to stay around because there is just so much that comes with that. The Discord alone is worth it, but all the free picks and all the extra information you get there, besides just the 3 you get on the free show, it makes it way worth it.
All the best bets, the play of the day, the extended cut, ad-free shows, if that's a thing you're interested in as well. There's just a lot of goodies over there. We really appreciate everybody who's over there with us, and we try to just give you as much value for, much bang for your buck as possible. We'll get to it, though. Otherwise, Tennessee and Mississippi State, 7 p.m. Eastern tip-off. 2 really good defenses. A game that we've talked a lot about this season with better offenses at the top of college basketball than ever before because of the rule changes, the extra years of eligibility, some of the COVID seniors, et cetera, the NIL money keeping kids around. And we've been going over in so many of the games with better talent. You saw it with Purdue last night hitting Baylor. We missed by 1 bucket. This is a game that we're not touching the over on because those defenses, that doesn't mean under's the right play either, at least for the moment. I think it's priced really well. But you can see why we're not going over. And most of the time when you have good teams, we've gone over. And these are 2 very good teams. Obviously, Tennessee, I think, is just in about everybody's top 5 of advanced metrics for the most part. Mississippi State inside sidelines top 25. And obviously Mississippi State's at home and road games are tough to win, but Mississippi State's offense has really lagged behind. Jake, I know we talked about this at the start of the season. You kind of hoped that their offense would take a step forward, and I'm not really sure it's done that, whereas Tennessee's offense has held its own. Jake, we locked in Tennessee minus 142 as a B grade for the official picks. That's what we sent out to everybody on Dub Club. That's what we sent out to everybody on Black Book Sports. That's where you can go if you want just the best bets. That link also in the show description. A little bit less money, a little bit fewer bells and whistles, but something to check out as well. Here's the thing. I just put my bets in recently, maybe half an hour to an hour after this. It's down to minus 130 on FanDuel, which gets it to an A grade. So this is a B plus pick, A minus pick, depending on what number you get, laying a relatively short price with one of the best teams in college basketball. And Jake, the last thing I'll say about this is just a reminder for people, the difference between 104 and 123 is almost nothing. That's probably rounding error. And I'm not even sure I'd be confident in saying any model is good enough to pick apart teams that are 20 spots apart in the middle of all that massive humidity there in college basketball. But number 4 to number 23, that's a pretty big difference. Mississippi State's a good team. Tennessee has a chance to make a deep run into March. They're that good. We're going to lay it with the Vols here at minus 142 is the official pick. But again, always shop around. You might find a little bit better number, might get you that A grade where we're willing to risk a little bit more on it. Jake, tell us more.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's just the more well-rounded team. The offense is really waking up with Vescovy coming through and being big, and Ziegler looking a little more comfortable, giving Connect a lot more options. I mean, since that absolutely garbage first half of North Carolina, this Tennessee team has really been on a roll. Because the second half they did very, very well, and they just dismantled an undefeated Ole Miss that people were starting to ride high on. They absolutely dismantled them. I think they're going to go into Mississippi State here, go to Starkville, and come out with a fairly comfortable win because Mississippi State's offense just isn't there yet. And I was hoping with the return of Tolu Smith would be that step up once he came back from the injury, but it doesn't seem like he's all the way there yet. Not that comfortable. I don't know, on the road at South Carolina wasn't the greatest game for him, but he still scored 13 points and only had 4 rebounds, and that's the part that's missing. He's not rebounding like he used to. Part of that is scouting report, but part of that's coming off the injury. And as physical as Tennessee is and Rick Barnes' teams are, the last thing you want to do is have one of your best players be timid at all, and that's where I think Tennessee's really going to flex on him.
And this is where if Mississippi State's offense was a little bit better, you'd say, hey, at home, they ought to be able to keep it a game, get something going. But when you're going up against a defense as good as Tennessee's is, which according to sideline number 2, but, as we always say, right, all models are wrong. Some models are useful. They might actually be the best defense in the country. It's not like we're definitive on they are absolutely number 2, right? And they may only be top 5, but either way, we're talking about an insanely legit defense. And obviously Mississippi State's defense is very good too, and I don't take anything away from them, but Tennessee's offense is good enough to potentially solve that and put up a few points, whereas Mississippi State's offense, just like so far behind the models looking at it saying, I just don't think they're going to get much done. They're just going to need a hot shooting night. And that's why we always remind people there are no locks in gambling. We don't put all of our eggs in one basket. We don't put the same game into every parlay we make. Whatever type of bettor you are, we just say we exercise caution. We want to risk no more than 5% of our bankroll on any one individual game. For the most part, probably more like only 2 or 3%, because sports are anything can happen, and Mississippi State can get hot. But assuming we have a relatively normal game, there's a lot of ways that Tennessee wins this. And again, according to the model, they win 63% of the time. And that makes these prices in the minus 130, minus 140 range pretty exciting. Jake, you were talking about the spread on this game. The model only projects Tennessee to win by 3.6 points on average. Oh, and I did not change the picture, so there's no picture for you to see there. But I think it's 3.6 points on average. And so right now I'm seeing like 2.5 at a place like FanDuel, which always has half numbers, at like minus 102. I don't know if you've been looking around on it. How are you going to play that? Because I think if you can find a 2, that's a little bit more exciting, because now the only way you lose and Tennessee wins if they win by 1. 1 is not a very common outcome in sports. In college basketball, it happens. It's just not the most common. And so personally, I'm kind of looking at it thinking 2 is the number I'd lay. I'd rather just take money on like 2.5. That's me personally. How are you looking at that?
I'm laying the 2.5, and this might be rose-colored glasses, but I really think that the Tennessee offense is going to get a lot better here in the second half of the season. There's a lot of stuff going on with Vescovy and his grandmother, and going back to Uruguay and class load. Ziegler is getting a little more comfortable in that knee. I mean, he's right now 11 months from the ACL tear ish, right around here, because it happened in February. So I think he's finally trusting it again. I think that offensive number is going to move up quite a bit here in the second half, and I think of where the books are not quite there yet, and I'm ahead of it. But like I said, could be rose-colored glasses, but I see good things in the future for this offense.
Jake, I personally, I don't play any alternate spreads, or very, very rarely do I in any sport. Namely because I have a hard enough time making decisions between 2 options. I'm a very indecisive person. That's why I've long time. If you've been here for any time, you've heard us talk about. I've coded things in the model to kind of tell us, should we take spreads, should we take money line? Because I don't want to have to make that decision every single game. And alternate spreads just adds another wrinkle to that I just don't want to mess with. And not to say there's not some value there. It's just way too much for me and to figure out. And then you got to make sure that you're not getting into a market with too much vig. It's a whole other thing, right? Where you got to make sure, you're just playing in smart markets where the bar to success is not too high. So there's all those asterisks. So I don't even mess with it. I don't know if you mess with it at all with college basketball. If that's a thing with college basketball, really. But based off what you're saying, if someone were to do that, I have to imagine something like Tennessee minus like 5.5 7.5 might be appealing too, or 6.5 or something. Get you some plus odds and see if they can run away with it. And if they don't run away with it, you still got a chance with late game fouls to get over the number. Is that something is that even out there? I don't know. Like I said, I just do money lines and spreads. I don't do the alternate stuff really.
I rarely do an alternate, and this one, if I were to do it, the most I would take it up is to 4.5 because Mississippi State's a very solid team, and a 5-point win would be very good, and I think it would be somewhat comfortable with the way Tennessee plays. And towards the end, like the LSU game we were talking about, that's a perfect example of why sometimes you don't want to move because you don't know what these kids are
you don't know how that wind's going to be
for no reason. Yeah. So so that gets a little rough, but I think this game lands between 5 and 10. So I don't want to be too much over 5.
Too aggressive.
Yeah, that's a little too much for me.
All right, just curious your thoughts there on that. And again, obviously, I don't recommend anybody messing with it, but I know if people do, just what are our thoughts on it? Again, this is from yesterday, but you can sign up to the free trial on Dub Club, and this is the type of information you get. Looking at it here, and the model projected 92 to 75. Maybe I should just leave this up on the day after, and just we can recap and see how it did. Kentucky actually won 90 to 77. That's remarkably close. The model is not usually that close. I mean, the average error on any model is going to be, even for the books too, is going to be a lot more. So, we nailed that one when pretty dang close. So this is the type of information you can get on Dub Club. Free trial, you might as well sign up, check it out. We have some of the highest retention rates on the platform, and the people that keep telling me about that, and that's why they encourage us. They said, hey, you should just do a free trial because people love your product, and have them see it and experience it. Because I'm a terrible salesperson. I can't figure out how to convince people to do anything. So you just got to get in it and you'll like it, So check us out over there. And then maybe tomorrow I'll actually put up one for the next game so y'all can enjoy that. But small child thing. Indiana State and Drake. Jake, I'm not sure if we've covered Indiana State on the free show or not. I know we've talked about it on the extended cut before. We've been backing Indiana State a lot lately. I've got them up to number 34. I love this Indiana State team. Their offense is absolutely 100% good enough to be in March Madness, even as an at-large. I think overall they are. I think they should be fighting for an at-large bid. I'm not sure that's where the committee would put them right now. I don't think they're getting quite the respect they deserve, but I do think that they should be, fighting for, a 9, 10, 11 seed, something like that, because I just think this is a really good team, and we've been backing them a lot, thinking they're underrated, and they're starting to remind me a little bit of, this is hallowed ground here, so I don't want to be, sacrilegious, but kind of like the Seattle Mariners of 2022 in MLB, where we just kind of backed them so many times and won an incredible amount of money off of them just because the market just failed to adjust to how good they are. And that's kind of how I see this Indiana State team. I don't expect it to keep lasting forever, but it's been a nice ride with them, and the market keeps undervaluing them. Not to say that Drake isn't a good team, because they are a good team. And of course, as we just mentioned with Tennessee, winning on the road isn't the easiest thing to do. But being able to get Indiana State anywhere near even money just, to me, kind of ignores how good this team is, how awesome they've been all season long. A great pick for us on the Sycamores. Again, no disrespect to Drake, no disrespect to road games. It's just, I think this Indiana State team is legit, and I'm just trying to capitalize as much as possible. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this game is going to hinge on if Indiana State cannot turn the ball over, because Drake is very good at taking care of the ball and taking it away from the other team. Other than that, they're not anything special on offense. I mean, they do make their free throws, so that at home that's going to help. But they're not anything really that special on defense either. They're probably more subpar defensively than they are anywhere closer to average. So Indiana State's offensive pace is really going to have to pick up for the lack of turnovers they force and how many times they happen to give the ball up. Plus, they don't hit the offensive glass hard, and I haven't watched them enough to know if that's by design, because they're making so many shots, because Lord, they're hitting 60% inside the arc and 40% outside of the arc. There's just not that many opportunities.
I mean, that would be if I was a college basketball coach, I would say we want to get no offensive rebounds because we want to make every single shot. I mean, that would just be, I just preach that, and hopefully the kids would take that to heart.
Yeah. I mean, it's that simple.
It is.
The Indiana State's defense is, I'm not sure quite what to make of it yet. They do. I'm not I'm not exactly sure what they do very well, but they do limit shots, like good shots. They stay in front of their men. They're not forcing turnovers, and then they're not quite like a slow pace, pack it in, pack line defense like Virginia and those kinds. So and I want them on TV more so I can watch them figure out, because that Robbie Avila guy is just fun. He is just absolutely fun with the rec specs and the Djokovic type game. This one, hopefully, I can find a way to watch this one because I'm excited for this.
Yeah, their two losses this season are at Alabama and at Michigan State, and
Mhm.
I mean, those are two really tough games, and tougher than they're probably going to get at all come in the NCAA tournament, except for, I mean, maybe a neutral site game against, a Purdue or a Houston or an Arizona is as difficult as that Michigan State, but I mean, not by much, right? I mean, that's like as hard as it gets because you're not having to play road games come March, right? So they've handled their business against everybody else. And obviously you say, yeah, well, they haven't beaten a ton of other great teams, but I mean, they went to neutral site and beat Toledo. They've won on the road at Bradley. They beat Ball State in a neutral game. I mean, they've already taken
Absolutely
care of.
handled Southern Illinois, and we know how much me personally, I like Southern Illinois. Absolutely, like 29.
Yeah, they just won at Northern Iowa. I mean, that's not bad at all. So I mean, they've done pretty well, I think, for the most part, and shown that how good they are. And again, just nothing to take away from Drake. I just love this Indiana State team. And you're right. I think defensively is their big question mark. You can see that on the screen there with the ratings. But luckily for them, their offense masks a lot of those problems, and it can't overcome those problems when you're playing at Michigan State or at Alabama. But that's fine. If your criteria for making the tournament was you're good enough to win at Michigan State and Alabama, you're going to a really small list of teams right at this point of the season. But otherwise, that offense is just so good, and I think it's going to carry them through a lot of these conference games here. I love this price at -104. Really, as long as you're not laying too big of a price, the model would give it an A grade. Anything better than -175, according to Sideline, it's a fantastic investment. So even better that we're here. And again, you can use something like the Kelly criteria to plug in the probabilities and try to get a little bit more precise on how much you're risking or whatever. I kind of try to simplify things because I tend to think it comes out in the wash. But either way, I love this Indiana State team. I don't know what else there's to say about them. We think they win 68% of the time. That makes this near even money pick great value. That'll take us to our last of the free picks before we head over to the extended cut where we give out bunch of more best bets. And we'll wrap up with Oklahoma and TCU. Oklahoma's defense legit number 9 in the country, according to Sideline. They handled business at home against Iowa State over the weekend in a very tight ball game, in a game that we thought would be tight, but we kind of thought Iowa State might pull it out at plus odds. They didn't. Oklahoma got the job done. Iowa State, now at home, just knocked off Houston. So it just shows you what a quality win that was for Oklahoma. And Jake, I feel like when we talked about Oklahoma, we probably weren't completely fair to them. And I think we weren't trying to say that Oklahoma isn't a good basketball team. I think we were just trying to say they probably aren't quite as good as that record. They probably aren't a top 10 team. And I think I would stand by that. I don't think they're a top 10 team, despite that win against Iowa State being very good and their record being very good, but they're still a very good team. I can still think they're very good and say, I don't think they're top 10, right? I don't want that to there's nuance here, right? And that's kind of the bottom line here playing TCU's. I think there's a better team than TCU is. Obviously it's on the road. Taking 3 road teams. Here's the thing. I want to make sure people catch, and if you're with us for any time, you already know exactly what I'm going to say here. We're taking 3 road teams. We don't think every road team is going to win in college basketball, but there will be 3 road teams that win. I guarantee you that on a Wednesday night. So I don't want anyone sitting here going like, we're crazy for taking 3 road teams, because I guarantee you there are 3 road teams that are going to win. Maybe we haven't picked the right 3, but it will happen. And the bottom line is we aren't trying to prognosticate exactly what will happen. What we're trying to do is find the good prices, such that when all the wins and losses shake out, we've got the odds on our favor to be profitable rather than not. That's what we've done all season with these A-grade money lines, and that's what we're going to do here. Plus 160 for the Sooners is just a really steep price. We don't have them more likely to win than not, and so you could make a case that you would rather take some points in this game. Not exactly sure how many points they're getting, 3, 4, something like that. And you might argue that that's what you want to take instead, but we think this is close enough to a toss-up. Oklahoma's defense should travel really well The offenses might struggle a little bit in this one, given the defensive nature and the pace of these two teams. Low scoring game, plus 160 is just way too good to pass up on. This isn't a game where I'm taking Oklahoma even money, but at plus 60, cannot pass that up. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's all about the price here. I think this game is very, very close, very, very tight game. These defenses are going to absolutely control this game. I don't trust TCU's offense enough yet, and I think that's another reason I like Oklahoma. They don't like the three ball, and I mean they know they don't because they don't shoot a lot, but they're a little too aggressive at times with getting in, trying to get to the lane and forcing that, and it produces some bad shots and a little bit of turnovers. But their defense typically makes up for that. I don't think they're going to get those kinds of advantages against this Oklahoma team. I mean, they may with it being at home, but I think with how well coached, and especially Porter Moser is just a very, very solid, very good coach. That Oklahoma, like they're going to be very well coached. They've got some really good guards in there with McCollum. I don't see TCU coming off, especially that Kansas game and the way they lost that Kansas game. I don't see them snapping back at home, ready for this Oklahoma team. This Oklahoma, they may not be top 10, and they may not be good enough to go to North Carolina, but just not Chapel Hill and win that game. But they are good enough to be up there fighting for a top 10 type team. They are very solid. I just love the price here with Oklahoma.
Yeah, I just can't iterate that enough, right? And you know, I want to make sure that we're clear on this with a viewer too. If you've been with us all season, you know we are just dodging all around on picks. We aren't, and you guys see here a little bit. We took a minus 142 and a plus 160. We had shows where we took like 3 dogs at plus 150 or so. We've had shows where we've taken 3 favorites at like, minus 180 or something crazy. We've had shows where we've taken three totals. We're just, the way that we're doing this is we're picking the best bets, the ones we like the most, and then we're going to take the games that are the most interesting, and those are the ones we put on the free show, and the rest we put on the extended cut. And sometimes it happens to be more totals or more underdogs or more favorites or whatever it is, right? So there's no rhyme or reason to what makes it here. And these are the bigger games, but these are just another part of the segment of the best bets that we like. And again, in the extended cut, we'll talk about 6 more of them. Plus we have the play of the day. But I want to make sure people are clear on it. If you go back to like the first week of the season, if you were here with us, then we only went 10-8 on the free show picks, but we had a 22% ROI. It was because we were taking games like this. And that's the benefit, is that we don't even have to be 500 to profit on these. And of course we were 10-8 there, but had we been 9-9 on those picks, we still would have been very profitable because we were up 5 units, over 5 units that week. And that's the bottom line, is even going 500 on a pick like this is good. And so you might say, well, they're only playing one time. How are you going to go 500 on this? And I would say that's absolutely true. And that's why we don't grade based off of one game. Anything can happen in one game. I hope I've said that enough so that it's sinking in, or it's already long sunken for people. What we do is we look at games that are like this, all the plus 160s, plus 150s ish, those things we're taking, and we say, are we winning 45% of them? If so, great. If we're only winning 35% of them, we got to take a look in the mirror and figure out what's going on. That's not good enough, right? And so that's how we look at this from the bigger picture. Don't know what happens in one game, but the plus 160 in this game is the type of play that we want to add to our portfolio this week. We'll have 5 or 6 of these. If we have 6 of them, we go 3-3. We're thrilled, right? Don't know what will happen in this one, but this price is just too much. I'm really excited for this game. I think it's just complete coin tossy. I think that, TCU's good on defense, absolutely. Oklahoma, I think, is better, and I think on the road that kind of evens it out. I don't know what's going to happen. All about the price. Again, you can take points if you want. We like to take the money line if we think there's a reasonable chance they can win. In this case, I think we do. But Jake, I think it's interesting. Our first game of the night here and our third game of the night, 2 bigger games with bigger teams, and 2 games that we actually be a total of spot on. And we haven't said that very much on the bigger name schools. The better schools, we've taken a ton of overs, and both of those we think the totals are pretty spot on, that the defenses are going to rule the day here for these, and that makes the totals it not just be an easy overplay. So I just thought that was an interesting little wrinkle. Here's your recap. Again, you can join us on Dub Club for the extended cut, which we affectionately call Study Hall. Again, everyone gets a free trial, so you might as well. There's really no reason for you not to. Check it out, see if you like it, see if we can make you some extra money with all the best bets. If you enjoy it, with the Discord access. Like you said, it's a lot of fun over there. And if you like it, stick around. If not, no hard feelings. Hopefully, you'll have a good week with us. And so no reason not to be over there, but we will take a 60-second break to play some music here and run through some just basics if you're a newbie at this channel. Otherwise, though, Jake, before we take that pause, any parting words?
Yeah, the free trial is worth it to get the NFL coverage. Cause I'm sad the NFL is ending because we've done so well and made so much money doing that. And so it's worth it just this week to grab for that wild card weekend where there's enough games to really make a difference.
Yep, 6 games. We've already given out a pick on every single game. I really like these 6 picks. I will have one day in the playoffs to go 13-0. And get every game right. It's probably going to be unlikely to happen, but I do think we got a real good chance of going like 4-2 or 5-1 this week, and that's kind of what we've been doing all NFL season. It's been just insane. We've had a couple of weeks where it's been break even, slightly down, but most weeks have just been insanely good totals. I was telling you and Cousin Jared, our last 3 weeks of recommended totals are 9-1. We've got 2 more total plays for you this weekend. I mean, I don't. It's just been like that all season. It's been incredible. So no reason not to go over there and check out those NFL picks. Hopefully, my Texan shirt reminds you. It was also a nice little troll job here, given that I'm living in Indianapolis now. To any Colts fans, I'm sorry for your loss, but I'm sorry, not sorry, I guess, really. Otherwise, though, here comes the music and the informational stuff. If you're new, hopefully we'll see you on the other side of the music.